are in the conference semifinals now at this point. Right now, actually, as we speak, the Celtics and Cleveland Cavaliers are playing, and the Celtics are up five right now in the middle of the third quarter. They're up 2 games to 1 on Cleveland, so this is a pretty important game. If Cleveland can pull through and come back and get the win, then we're looking at a tied series. And if they don't, then obviously Boston is in control, and 1 foot out the door onto the conference finals. In the Western Conference later tonight, we got Oklahoma City and Dallas playing. Dallas is up 2 games to 1 on OKC. So the 1 seed Oklahoma City needs to get their act together if they want to make this interesting. The other half of the brackets, uh, Timberwolves and Denver Nuggets, they're tied
I'm
2 games
loving that
apiece.
series, man.
That
I'm
game, that
loving it.
series is so fun.
Yeah.
Oh man, having
I'm so glad I'm not a fan of either team, but
yeah,
I do want to say this. If I'm gonna pick a team, obviously the Warriors aren't in it. If I'm gonna pick a team, I want the Timberwolves to win it for one reason only. It's because they have Mike Conley. And God, I just want that boy to get one. Just get one, man. He's just always kind of been in the forefront of, you know, all stars because he was, in the West where all the point guards were at. Was
yeah,
on crap teams, for years and years. So I just want him to get one. I'm super
yeah,
happy to see that. Although
yeah.
they got to fucking turn it around here. I mean, Denver, tied this series up here. So
Yeah. With MVP Nikola Jokic, we'll get into that in just a hot second. But the other half of the bracket, Pacers and Knicks are 2 games apiece, and they'll both of those series are going to tip off again tomorrow. Game 5 winners in the drive in the pole position to move on to the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference Finals, respectively. So yeah, this is just a lot of fun right now. This is probably the best time to get most maximum basketball from really good teams. Obviously, they're all in the second round of the playoffs. You have 2 games every night, and every single one of them is competitive games. Whether or not the final score indicates, like if the Celtics end up winning and go up 3-1, this series has still been pretty competitive anyway. So it's just good basketball all around. It's the same thing with in the NFL, it's the division round, right? Because you have Saturday and
yeah,
Sunday, the best teams are playing, and it's all day, you know. So it's
yeah.
it's a similar type feeling there.
Um, Tim, go ahead and throw up the next graphic here about the MVP here, since we're going to touch base on this. Nikola Jokic has won his third MVP. I think he's the fourth player in NBA history, I believe, to have three MVPs in a career. So shout out to him. I know some people were kind of wondering if it was going to be Shea Gillis, if it was going to be Luca, if it was going to be who's the other kid I'm thinking of. Anyways, there's third kid in the conversation, and honestly, I think Jokic just gives you something that we've never really seen out of a big man in this capacity. I mean, he literally can drop 30 if he wants to. He could have 20 rebounds if he wants to. He could have 15 assists whenever he wants to. It's just a unique dynamic player that we haven't really seen at that size, and he does not look athletic at all, but I promise you he's super athletic. So
Yeah,
happy for him.
Nikola Jokic, right? Yeah,
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
yeah. I mean,
So
basketball is just something he does when he's not tending to his horses on his farm.
exactly.
That guy, he is a different breed,
Yeah,
to be
exactly.
sure. And he it's kind of odd. Like the man doesn't love basketball. I don't think he has other interests, and he's this dominant when he's on the court, and it's just it. Oddly enough, the person that comes to mind is Sebastian Janikowski because football is something he does when the bars are closed. That's what we used to joke about. Um, it's kind of the similar thing, right? Like he has a lot of other interests outside of basketball, and you can tell in the interviews he doesn't he's not afraid to espouse those other interests.
Yeah.
Like housing horses at racetracks in New Jersey or some shit like that, man.
Was it like he was like heartbroken when was that him or Giannis or something? Like he was heartbroken when he couldn't play like soccer or something anymore.
Oh,
Like I want to say
I think that was Giannis. I think
I
Was
think
it
Giannis
Giannis?
was.
Like he was heartbroken that he couldn't play soccer. Like actually, soccer is his number one love or something.
Yeah. I want to say that was Giannis. I think him and his brothers played, and I think he just became too tall, and it just didn't really
Soccer's
pan out.
it's kind of tough when you're like really super tall. Yeah, you just it's a different beast. It's a different kind of
Can
athlete.
Can you imagine being the goalie though? I mean, his hands alone.
Yeah, I mean, there have been big goaltenders in soccer, and there have been tall strikers as well. So
Yeah,
I mean, but any other position that'd be kind of rough. So if you don't got the foot handles, or if you're not strong with your hands, or positioning or whatever, so that's a little tougher for tall people to play
Yeah.
soccer. So,
yeah. It looks like we also had ourselves the lottery draft here, and that's the graphic for NHL. So, anyways, Atlanta secures the number one pick in the NBA draft. It is the first time in the modern draft era that Atlanta has gotten a number one draft pick. So, shout out to them. I don't know who they're going to pick. It seems like there's these two French kids, that are studs, that are probably going to be
yeah,
drafted here.
it sounds like there's no 1A prospect. There's no like clear
Yeah,
front
it
runner
just
for
seems
number
like
one.
nobody. This is a terrible year to have the number one overall draft. At least on like, if you wanted to trade or, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of good players going to come out of the draft. But as far as a clear cut number one, it's not really clear cut right now.
Yeah, it seems to be these two French kids. You got the big man from, I believe it was UConn. He's pretty up there. But yeah, also too, I know we didn't really have it in the docket here, but there's just gonna be fanfare about it no matter what. But Bronny had his tryouts today, and everyone's the media's can't get enough of it. He didn't miss a single shot apparently in his training drills that he had today. He's doing everything he can to rise his stock. GMs are coming out and saying that he was playing out of position, and that's why he didn't look so good at USC. Sure, I just don't think that he is a top echelon of an NBA player compared to other talent that's coming into the league. To say he's not a good player, well, I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think he's a good player. I just don't
You
think
think he
he's a
goes in
top
the
player.
first round?
No, look, he may go in like the second round only because of sheer name and sheer media. And if
Cleveland's gonna take him in like their
and
come
his
back.
his draft stock might be coming up, going up because of this whole combine stuff that he's got going on. But in reality, third round, if he went undrafted, that wouldn't shock
I mean,
me
there's only
either.
2 rounds in the NBA draft, so
I'm
Right.
telling
So
you, who the Warriors need a target center, Jonathan Mogbo, USF. He'll be a star. We need a big man.
I do think they need a big man. I think oh gosh, the guy from Vucevic, he's supposed to be a free agent from Chicago. So I would circle that as a big man talent that I would want to acquire. I mean, he could pass, he could shoot the deep ball. He might be just what the Warriors are asking for as far as a big man goes. Who knows? But yeah, we'll see. Season's around the corner here, anyways. We got to get through the draft
I mean,
first.
the
Here,
Warriors
so.
have a draft pick or a first round draft pick.
right.
Yeah,
That was sent
unfortunately.
to Portland, right?
So
That where that
Portland
ended up?
had to get a top four draft pick because it was unprotected, and unfortunately they didn't. So Portland now has, I believe, the 6th pick and the 14th pick, which would have belonged to the Warriors if they had gotten a top 4 pick. So it is what it is. It's fine.
Yep, not the end of the world. But here we go. Free agency is just around the corner, and who's not under contract? It's our boy Klay Thompson.
Right,
Is he going to Orlando?
Yeah, there's rumors of mutual
Whispers.
interest. Mutual interest.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's so hard, man. I love Clay to death. I think he's one of my favorite
He's a
players.
statue. He's a statue
Yeah,
guy.
he's definitely a statue. If not, he's a trio statue of one statue there. So I would just say, if the money's there and they want him, I think he could be kind of that Kyle Korver type of situation. Maybe even a Ray Allen if you can, be that more consistent with his 3-point shot, where he doesn't really have to do so much. And I think Orlando's not a terrible place. I mean, if you think about it, Paulo Banchero's been coming out really good. They got Jalen Suggs that's being really good. They've got that young center over there that's pretty good. So they're just young talent. They maybe lack a little bit as far as locker room presence of veterans. So maybe Clay is that veteran to them. Who knows? I think Orlando's not a terrible place to be. I mean, they did go to the playoffs. Yes, did they leave in the first round and lost to Cleveland? Sure, but pretty. I mean, it's a positive outlook with if you're an Magic fan, I would say.
I just think like even if he went to Orlando, he's not. It's hard for me to imagine that Clay is going to get starter minutes and starter money. Especially when you look at these teams that are in the playoffs right now, they are so athletic. Like,
Yeah,
extremely athletic and fast. Like you can say maybe Denver is the least athletic just because of the Jokic angle, right? But he's still a hell of an athlete, to do what he does. But
yeah.
I mean, just look at the teams in the NBA that are left surviving. Like, I don't know if Clay could get up and down the court, take out the top two offensive weapons, him being on defense. We used to be able to see Clay take the number one, number two offensive option out of a game, and play great defense. He can't do that anymore. New York Knicks, Dante DiVincenzo. I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week with Vince. Can you imagine if those minutes were with the Warriors, Dante? Like, are the Warriors better or worse? Taking the emotion out of it. What's best for the Warriors moving forward? Like, I don't think you can pay Clay more than $15 million a year. Like,
Yeah.
fantasy money at this point. It's not my money. Not trying to negotiate and say take money away from Clay. But what's best for the team and what's the best route to win? It's probably, if you're coming back, Clay, you're coming off the bench, which means we're giving you bench player minutes, pay. It's sad. But we knew this day would come that the big three and the Warriors dynasty would come to an end. So
Yeah, and that's why I come at it as a Kyle Korver situation,
Yeah.
where like Kyle Korver maybe wasn't always the greatest defensively, probably ever, but had a shot, and he came off the bench as a sixth man.
Clay would be number 2 right now. He'd be approaching number 2 in all-time threes right now if he wasn't robbed.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you got robbed of two and a half years,
Two
almost.
prime seasons
Yeah.
as well. Right in
Yeah.
the middle of his prime. That's
I will say this too, that if Clay were to go to Orlando, I don't know if I want Clay back to the Warriors, and I'd say this as like not to be a dig at Clay. Like I want, if Clay comes back, great. I'm not going to be opposed to it, but this just forces Steve Kerr to have to play the younger guys. They have to get more minutes. So Moody isn't going to have this tumultuous season of am I going to play tomorrow? Am I going to play 20 minutes to next week? Like, I don't know. Probably Moody is the one most deserving of consistent minutes.
I'm so glad you brought this up because it seems like Warriors fans who watch basketball, the consensus like about the one player that should be getting time is Moody.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
You can go to the fandom and it's split on Kuminga. You don't know. You got people saying he's a guaranteed superstar. You got people you don't know. You know what I mean? There's an argument. But the unifying thing is everybody loves Steph Curry and Moody needs more minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why doesn't Moody have a role? Like, that to me has been the strangest thing with this Warriors with before, last year, 2 years ago when he was a rookie. He's entering his 4th year now. He's done everything possible to show that he's competent, to show that he's reliable. I mean, Jesus, every time he comes into the game, he's playing great defense. He's already a better defensive option than Clay.
Yeah,
If you just gave him those minutes, he's already a better defender.
I just that lineup. I mean, I know the next thing on our docket is talk about him, but I
Let's
mean,
do it. Let's
Kaminga
just do it.
is 21 years old, right? About to be 22 this year, so he's getting closer to a prime age. And I know there's talks about trading JK. Absolutely not. Do not do that. I mean, your future is Steph Curry for now. Maybe could be Pazinski at that point guard position, right? He doesn't have to be the lights out shooter that Curry is, but he can get everybody else involved, right? And then you're looking at Kaminga, you're looking at Moody, and then you're looking at TJD, Trace Jackson at your center position. That's a pretty young lineup. Obviously, there's going to be some tweaks down the road, but I think that needs to be the core lineup going forward, right? It has to be, And I think I didn't say Draymond's name on purpose because I think Draymond and Steph, when that contract's up, I guarantee you they walk into the sunset together. You know what I mean? Maybe Clay doesn't get that opportunity to do it with the other two guys, but fully believe Steph and Clay. I'm sorry, Steph and Dre, they will walk off the sunset together, and it needs to be those five guys taking the mantle going forward. And that's why I think Clay leaving bodes really well for the rest of the team going forward. Like we can
It's the
finally
first step.
move on. Yeah.
I do think though, like I know Draymond is playing good basketball right now.
Mhm.
I think spiritually or emotionally, however you want to call it, if I could keep two and get rid of one, I would be saying goodbye to Draymond and keep Clay, even if it costs
Sure.
me money. All three of them are going to cost me money. But as far
Sure.
as like a teammate, I'd probably get rid of Draymond. And Draymond was, as you guys know, I love all the players that are the enforcer, that do the dirty work and do all that. That's always my
The
favorite player.
sandpaper guys. Yeah.
Those are the guys that, I wasn't crap when I played sports, but I had to do the mean and dirty work because I wasn't fast. I couldn't jump the highest. So I got under people's skin and I pulled jerseys and, you
Yeah.
know, I did all that crap. I
Okay,
did the
Martin
mean stuff,
Erat.
you know, I could still shoot a three though. I could still
I
shoot.
I think what you're saying is a perfect example of what we have in Pazinski. I mean, in Defensive Player of the Year, granted, obviously there's bigger dudes out there, but he still got a third place vote. He led the league in charges. Like you've got a dog.
And he's
He
a
may
rookie
be,
too.
yeah, and
And
he
he
was
was
a
a rookie.
rookie.
He's
And
gonna get a lot more votes next year.
and I think you're onto something here. That look, I think what Draymond carries is it's almost like Draymond and Steph is your NBA jam. If you're gonna pick
Dude,
two players,
they traded Jordan Poole, who
hmm
I'm not defending here as a player, he didn't really have the best year um this season, but you traded Jordan Poole and then you got Chris Paul, which was like he had some decent games, but it was like a nothing burger
Right.
for the most part.
Well, I will
So
push back on that one because you traded away the years, is what you
you
did.
traded away the years, the
Jordan
contract,
Poole,
you know.
like not playing well for 4 more years, or you get what we got from Chris Paul for this year, and then maybe next year. I think he has an opt out uh, to still be
There's
determined.
there's
But
talks that he may opt in, he may opt out. I
yeah,
don't,
exactly. So we're not
one,
sure where that goes here
we don't
yet.
know where that's going to go yet.
But
I
either
guess
way,
my point,
you're getting out of that money quicker.
right? You had to take. I mean, I guess you have to take the deal to just get out of the money, but you
hmm
you didn't have to give him the money. Was the problem? Like you did not have to give Jordan Poole that contract at that time. And as soon as you gave him the contract, here comes Draymond. You like
yeah. I mean, I agree with you where it's a cancerous locker room, and I think the only with Draymond being there, um, I think
you
it's got
know,
better this
I
year
was
though
a
for sure.
defender of Draymond, but come on, do you think it's going to happen again? Something's going to happen again.
Yeah.
Mike has a quick question on Clay.
Yeah.
If Clay is getting long in the tooth, if he did get traded, do you think he'd be, as you could say, an off the bench player with most other teams?
Well,
Um,
he's not going to get traded because he's a free agent. So
right.
I guess they could do a sign in trade. I guess I don't even know if
Yeah,
they can do that.
I'm sure they could. Because
Uh,
the money though is the problem.
right now, Mike, it would be Clay walks, and it's see you later, and the Warriors get nothing in return, or they bring him back, and I'm thinking he's coming off the bench because you got Moody, Pods, you got young guys that can take his minutes and give
Yeah.
you better defense and probably better offense other than shooting. Like these guys can get to the hoop, they can play defense, they can pass the ball, they can do everything better, possibly even shoot a better three with where he's at right now. I mean, that last game didn't do him any favors, you know,
Yeah. 0 of 12, I think it was something
0
like that.
for
0 of 11.
12, something like that. It's rough.
Yeah.
And it's hard on fans, like everybody loves Clay. Everybody has a version of Clay that they love. There's toaster Clay. There's China Clay.
Yeah.
you know,
Architecture nerd Clay.
Yeah. Scaffolding clay.
Scaffolding clay. That's what it
Scaffolding
was.
Clay, boat captain Clay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many versions of Clay.
I've got that boat captain
story.
bobblehead.
I have a personal story of meeting Clay, and it was awkward and silly, but I wouldn't trade that moment for anything with Clay. Like he's been so many Warriors fans' favorite Warrior, and he was robbed his 2 years. He was directly how he's playing like right now is because of those injuries.
Yeah.
But financially, the team has to get below this threshold. I know it's monopoly money, but you can't do any moves.
You can't.
We
You can't even sign a veteran minimum player.
exactly where I'm going. Like, John Fisher owns the A's in a uncapped league. You could spend whatever the hell you want. And you have an owner in Joe Lacob who owns a team in a league that there is a cap, but he pays the penalties. I mean, this roster, how much did he pay? It was like $350 million or something in penalties.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
He's come out and said that they're going to. I mean, also, Mike Dunleavy said the same thing. They're going to get under the threshold this year.
They have to.
There's no choice.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have
something's
to.
got to give. If Clay stays, and I'll ask you. I ask you, if Clay stays, is Kuminga gone?
That's where I was going to go. If Clay stays, I was going to say I don't know if it's Kuminga, but there's going to be a shakeup. I mean, a huge shakeup. I already think something massive is going to happen, because it has to.
Yeah.
Financially, how you're going to fill out the roster, somebody is going. I could see Clay leaving in free agency, but I could see a very big trade that is Draymond, is Jonathan Kuminga. You're going to have to shed money to take on money. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen any crystal ball theories that make real sense.
Yeah.
Because the Warriors are so up against it.
Yeah.
There's only so many players they can move, just like Phoenix. There's only so many players they can move. And that rumor, like, I do not. Rumor? It makes no sense.
No.
The Warriors to bring back Kevin Durant.
That financially ruined.
No sense.
Financially ruined.
That's not happening. I don't see that.
Sense. You would get worse.
Yeah.
You're paying $1 billion in salary cap penalties to get older.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. And like I think we were saying earlier that Nikola Vucevic, I think is his name. I can't remember his name. Anyways, he's probably going to be a free agent center because the Bulls have decided to, let him walk. They said that they're already going to let him walk and test out free agency. So
and they got Lonzo Ball coming back. So
yeah, but I mean, as a big man, like if the Warriors want to go out there and try and get a competitive big man, they have to get under the threshold. I mean, forget circling Vucevic or whoever you want to circle. If they're not, a second round late bloomer draft pick, then forget it. You're not going to get anyone worthwhile that's going to help this team as far as that center position.